Alright guys, the Wild Hunt is back on the menu once again. In this Wood Elf vs Empire showdown, it's going to be Orion aka Mel Gibson facing off against Volkmar the Grim in Dob plays with his super powerful mustache. We got Hellstorm rocket batteries, we got great Stagonites, we got Zotes. This is going to be a fun one for sure. Now as far as my army goes, it is going to be vanguarded. I did not want to be facing the wrath of the Nuln powder. You know, bows, cannons, all that sort of good stuff for any longer than I had to. So going with a mass vanguard did seem to be the prudent option here. So Dryads are going to be the frontline choice, Orion and a Branch Wraith with 2 Deepwood Scouts here in the secondary. Deepwood Scouts just as a countermeasure against Pistoliers and Archers and Huntsmen and things like that. And Handgunners, mind you. So Deepwood Scouts is going to be 2 of those guys. Now here in the tree line, I did decide to go a little bit ham, a little bit expensive. So it's very risky, but we do have the Lost Sylvan Knights. And I was like, Empire probably won't bring Lore of Death here. But then again, I also forgot about Volkmar the Grim and also Warrior Priest. So there's a ton of magic damage the Empire can bring to deal with such characters. But nonetheless, I mean, they still cause terror. They have insane leadership. Even if they're down to like 2 models, they can still terror out things off and, you know, hit really, really hard. We do also have the Enigmas of Garon. These guys are the Arwar Zotes. They have regrowth for free and also a Flesh to Stone. So they're pretty cool for sure. And that is it for my army. Aside from that, a couple Glade Riders with spears on the flanks just to cause some disruption. And that is it. So for Dov's army, it's going to be a glorious state troop formation. So he's got state troops for days. He's got swordsmen, spearmen, Sigmar Sons, archers here in the third. A Fire Priest here, not a Fire Priest, a Bright Wizard, with a Fireball, Burning Head, and Cascading Fire Cloak. And then he does have the Hellstorm Rocket Battery. And Demis with Lances, it looks like, with the Warrior Priest backing them up. So he does have the, oh, look at that. He's got the Flame Banner as well, just in case I brought some trees. And I think Dryads are actually weak to fire. Yeah, that's going to be really painful. And on top of that, he does have plenty of magic damage via the Fireball, Burning Head, as well as Volkmar. So my whole magic gambit may or may not pay off here, guys. It's going to be quite spooky. So right now, Mel Gibson and company are advancing into the main lines, getting ready to do battle here with the Sons of Sigmar. Dryads will beat State Troopers. They'll beat Spearmen and Swordsmen. It's not like super decisive. It is against Spearmen, but against Swordsmen, it's a bit more of a wash there. But the Hellstorm's also singing in, doing some nice splash damage to the Dryads on the approach. And it looks like the Bright Wizard is going to be launching a Fireball out. I'm trying to catch these damn Pistoliers with my Blade Riders. They do get a couple of them, but I'm going to have to fall back here relatively soon. Now, Dryads have screamed into the front line, and they're going to start battling the State Troopers. You can see the Spearmen taking a bit of damage on the impact. And I decided to go for a relatively wild play here. I'm like, you know what? Let's test the new capacity of a Wood Elf Death Star and just push right up the middle and see if we can bait a blob fight. But, you know, one thing I didn't account for is Volkmar the Grim. He is very, very good at these blob fights. So we'll see. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. So I bunker bust and just go right through the Sigmar Sons. And from here, I will be moving back to go after the Archers. I tried to drop a Pendulum there, but he just moved the Swordsman through to attack the front line. I don't know if it was even to dodge the Pendulum, but he got me there. And it looks like a fat Burning Head going down, roasting some Dryads. But in the meantime, we are able to break off some of the Archers. And Mel Gibson does use the Hawk's Talon to kill some of the Archers back there. And we're getting some good damage in the front line. Glade Riders with Spears have been left a little bit idle here in the back, but it's all right. And the Demogryph Knights and the Warrior Priests were over here. So that was kind of what I was thinking. I was like, all right. Demis are over here, a little bit out of position. Let's get in here. Let's shut down this Hellstorm Rocket Battery and see how this goes. So I do get the Lost Sylvan Knights to just bum rush through, and these angry reindeer definitely going to be coming in, and the Hellstorm Rocket Battery crew should be taken out relatively quickly by these very, very elite knights. But Volkmar the Grim, the Warrior Priest, the whole party is coming back here to join, and suddenly I'm a little bit overextended. The Lost Sylvan Knights are in a bit of a precarious situation. I do have my Zotes. The Enigmas are going to be jumping in, but you can see the Soulfire Bombardment doing some good damage against my Lost Sylvan Knights, who do currently have Flesh to Stone, so they actually have some armor values given to them by the Zotes. We got a big blob fight back here. Now, Demis are taking quite a bit of damage. He does have the Sigmar Sons, Volkmar, and a Warrior Priest, so he's got a lot of characters here. And you can see that Orion, aka Mel Gibson here, is doing some good damage to this Warrior Priest as well. And I'm just trying to get away with the Lost Sylvan Knights. I don't want to be taking this damage. It's very, very painful with Volkmar there, who, of course, himself does magic and fire damage. So, yeah, I'm just trying to get away with them, maybe wrap around, get on top of some of these Archers. But it's a very, very wild game right now. So we pull them back in. We rear charge into the Demogryph Knights that are currently fighting the Zotes. But the Zotes are struggling, largely due to the fact that the Empire forces back here do have Spearmen and ground support, and I do not. I just have a bunch of monsters, which, if it was just my monsters versus Demis and Volkmar, I probably would have won that. But with his spears and various other State Trooper support, he's able to get the better fight there and push me back. So currently, balance of power does fall out of my favor here, but we still have our Deepwood Scouts. We have the Glade Riders with spears, and, you know, I still have a fair amount of decent harass units, and the Empire army has taken some damage as well. Demogryph Knights are down to a very low amount of health. We were able to shut down the artillery in the back, and also we did some okay damage to the characters via the Warrior Priest. So now I know at this point, you know, I gotta, oh, look at Orion throwing that fat spear at the Warrior Priest as he tries to get to him. So cool. I know I need to get some value. I need to take out some characters and start using, you know, Orion to his maximum potential. He's very, very low. I believe I do have a couple of Earthbloods, but he does have the Cloak of Isha. So even if Orion does get very beat up over the course of this game. He's still going to be incredibly tough to kill. So here he comes, gets in a huge spear on that Warrior Priest, and an Earthblood going down at the same time. Going to be buffering. Branch Wraith coming in, Dryads pushing in. I know I need to help out Orion. Thankfully, these demis are not the anti-large variant, so I do drop the Hawk's Talon right here. Hawk's Talon is Orion's AoE ability. I think I misclicked. Yeah, I was trying to click here, but it kept like sticking and not casting. It was very weird, so I cast it over there, and yeah, it was a shame for sure. But we are able to break off the demis, and the remnants of the Lost Sylvan Knights come back in, and now I'm going to be trying to chase those Demogryph Knights off the battlefield, and we got a big Zerg. So if we look around the battlefield, I do have my Deepwood Scouts, but they're being kind of routed here by a couple swordsmen. I have my Glade Riders of Spears who are doing a good job chasing down archers, and I have this big ugly Death Star. I know that as long as Orion has like around 1,000 HP, he can actually beat Volkmar the Grim in combat. So I'm like, okay, at this point in the game, I got to batten down the hatches, man. I'm behind. I got to be chasing as much as I can while staying away from Volkmar. I have the speed advantage. I'm the Wood Elves. Why would I sit there and just go fisticuffs against Volkmar and his Warrior Priest like I did in the early game? I didn't need to do that. I could have been more aggressive, more dynamic, attack different angles, but instead, I played their game and I really paid the price for it. But, you know, now we're going to try our best to scrap back, and we get these archers down. Soulfire Bombardment going down from Volkmar does punish my Sylvan Knights. And here, Dryads and the Enigmas are back as well. So the Zoats are back in business. The Zoats are back on the menu, boys. And the Glade Riders do hear the Horn of the Wild Hunts as they chase down some archers. And here the Zoats, as well as some Dryads, are able to do some good work, killing both archers as well as some elite swordsmen. Mind you, they are pretty elite, Sigmar Sons. So hopefully we can polish these guys down to the last man and really kind of stabilize our position. In the meantime, Orion is kind of in the tree line, just chasing off all these different units. So we do chase off the Demogryph Knights. Balance of Power is kind of creeping back a little bit, and I'm going to be getting the Zoats to try and go in and goon this character. But again, I'm getting caught in a spear position. So another little mistake right there, but it's all good. You know, they're forced mistakes. He's catching me with these spears. And the Enigmas of Garon are trying to goon that character, but it's a foot character. I guess I overestimated their power, so the Zoats are going to be pulling away using Flesh to Stone to make it so Volkmar barely does any damage to them. And we're just going to be trying to, you know, get our base. But also on that same note, it's not a bad thing that, you know, Volkmar is chasing those guys, because it does allow Orion and my other characters, and look at this, the Lost Sylvan Knights are down to one model, this epic knight. But that gives me an extra source of terror, right? That's what I'm talking about. They don't crumble like undead. They do actually break normally. You can see they're wavering. Like, I had a couple games in the early access where they just broke with like 8 models and just ran off the battlefield. And there's games like this where they seem to last a while. Oh, look at that. The Sylvan Knight jukes that shot. Comes in and actually gets a terror out on those spearmen, but they actually suffered a natural break anyway, so the terror route didn't matter too much. But now Orion and the boys going to be trying to do some battle here and finish off these Sigmar Sons. A banishment going down from Volkmar, so I am able to dodge that. And you can see the Empire does have a fair amount of spearmen and state troopers left. But this whole time, you know, Orion was able to heal up quite a bit using the Cloak of Isha and also using his Earthbloods from the Branch Wraith. And I'm just mainly using the Glade Riders of Spears to just chase things down and just moving in this big Zerg force, staying away from the very slow, kind of ponderous Empire force here, which is just marching with spears. While I'm having to charge into combat using archers and my Sylvan Knight. Nice brace right there, but I think the Spearmen might have broken it. And broken it. And now the Glade Riders of Spears are going to be coming into the back line, while Orion turns to actually fight Volkmar the Grim. And you can see Orion trading pretty effectively here. He is taking a bit of damage, but the Cloak of Isha should activate soon, and Orion, of course, will start, you know, really getting a ton of damage on Volkmar. We also do have the Enigmas coming back when we're able to completely crump those spearmen. So I'm like, okay, if I can just keep bouncing around, gooning characters, you know, taking out these pockets of state troopers, maybe I can get back. I mean, it almost looks like point of no return. But now Orion, the master of the Wild Hunt, coming in with a leaping attack, able to absolutely massacre that Bright Wizard right there and also get some huge splash damage. I mean, Orion is such a raid boss. And now that the Wood Elves have such a dynamic, you know, roster in the sense of being able to rush more effectively, I think he's going to be a very meta pick. Whereas before, you know, I think he was a bit of a meme. Anyways, Orion here able to absolutely dunk on that priest right there. Not priest. He's not a priest. He's a Bright Wizard. The Bright Wizard gets dunked on by Orion. And from here, we're just going to be chasing down whatever we can. You can see here we have the Glade Riders attacking, moving in to go after some of these archer units. And we do also have some Deepwood Scouts fighting with Zoats over here against these Spearmen. But I think the Zoats are just getting around and trying to get on some other targets. So here comes the Glade Riders charging into the glorious archers right here. And Mel Gibson charges in as well, going after the Spearmen right here and getting some pretty good damage. You can see these Spearmen kind of getting buttered up pretty good like. The Branch Wraith also coming in. Branch Wraith is a pretty powerful combatant, very weak against what Volkmar the Grim brings to the table, but as long as Orion's nearby, his Cloak of Isha is still healing him, it should be okay. So the Empire does have some state troops left. Up here we got 53, we have 23, and a big pocket of 80 state troopers right there, which is going to be one of the bigger issues. But now the tables have turned. The Wood Elves have become the hunters as they're now chasing down Volkmar. And a very good play here from Dov trying to unify his forces and just form kind of a bastion, because with the Empire forces being separated, I'm able to use my Glade Riders and my Branch Wraiths and all my characters to try and pick them apart here. So Pretty much going to be going for a big ugly blob fight. I do have my Zotes here. Got some deep wood scouts, but Orion's just trying to push in and go after VOLKMAR, but the Grand Shield of Faith has been popped here. So we will be jumping into attack, and also my deep wood scouts are attacking. Unfortunately, the Enigmas are having to fight Spearmen, and they'll probably be taking some damage here in just a second. So Orion going fisticuffs, man. This is the game. This is everything here. I mean, if Orion can hold, and look at that, the Hounds of Gibson going in and tearing apart those Spearmen. And now they're terrified. Glade Rider's sweeping in as well, and the Branch Wraith is coming in to fight him as well. Or, yeah, on top of that, I'm saying as well. Non-stop. I'm just so hyped, man. Look at this. And now we're healing once again, getting relatively close to our healing cap. We haven't been able to get too many juicy Earthbloods, but on that same note, you know, the Empire does break off our Zotes and everything, so I'm like, ah, shit, man. I thought the Zotes would stay and fight a little bit longer, but they got beat up, and now it's looking like it's pretty much GG here, as the forces of the Empire are probably going to be able to grind it out with the Spears. Who knows, man? We'll see. Here comes the Soulfire Bombardment, which of course doesn't really do much of anything since I don't have any troops nearby. And there's more and more State Troopers coming in. Orion and the boys just kind of fighting amongst these Spearmen here, who are very low and also not immune to Psychology, so we could potentially get a Terror Route, and some good cycle charging here from VOLKMAR the Grim. Coming in, trying to push my Branch Wraith away, and he does get a successful little push, taking her on a little vacation here, but Orion is nearby and is going to be bouncing in and trying to punish VOLKMAR and just chase him down. VOLKMAR, though, is nowhere near his healing cap, too, so getting VOLKMAR down is going to be a bit of a process. Although, look at that huge attack right there, man. Yeah, here comes Orion just chasing. Branch Wraith is just waddling in circles, not really knowing what to do. As far as my troops, I got some Deepwood Scouts here. I do also have some Glade Riders with Spears who are going to be super clutch as well. And yeah, we're just playing Ring Around the Rosie, man. Just trying to catch this character as my Glade Riders do attack those swordsmen. And here it comes. Orion, the Horn of the Wild Hunt sounded, but he gets stuck for a second. I must have given him the wrong order or something. And now he's lancing in. He's fully surrounded. But guys, the Wood Elves are not out of this yet, man. We got our Spearmen. We have Terror on the battlefield. VOLKMAR goes to ram that Branch Wraith. But here comes the Glade Riders, all 7 of them with the Horn of the Wild Hunt. I'm just trying to break off these State Troops and get some Terror Routes. But they do buy me some time to get a couple more pertinent attacks here on VOLKMAR the Grim. So we're just chasing, man. We're trying to get this bad boy down. My units are broken, but we do have 1 unit of Glade Riders coming back in. And now we're pretty much stuck in combat here. So I'm just going to sit here and fight. I know that chasing VOLKMAR through Spears is just going to lead to free damage for Dov. So we just sit and fight. And, you know, Orion actually does some really good splash damage. So Dov is going to be cycle charging with VOLKMAR the Grim. And it looks like Orion does take a pretty solid hit there from VOLKMAR. I mean, it's not a ton of damage, but it certainly isn't impertinent either. So we shall be getting the Glade Riders positioning for a rear charge. And VOLKMAR better watch out, though, man. Huge damage coming in. Orion hits so hard. Upwards of 500 weapon strength. Here come the Glade Riders charging in and potentially breaking off the Spearmen, but the Grand Hammer of Sigmar is active as well. So just going to be hammering back and forth with these Glade Riders, and now coming in, trying to get a leadership bomb on these Spearmen, because I know if we can, Orion and the boys should be able to carry the day. So VOLKMAR the Grim, oh man, he is so close to breaking, and suddenly the bounce of power is coming back, and Orion and the boys should be Orion and his lady here. It's not the lady, it's not Ariel, but Orion and one of his ladies are able to push back VOLKMAR the Grim, and I cannot believe this, guys. The bounce of power is coming back in the favor here of the Wood Elves in the 4th quarter of the game. The Master of the Wild Hunt, living true to his name. It looks like a Soulfire Bombardment is going to be going down and just getting in there, but yeah, just trying to deal with these Spearmen. Oh my god, there was like just something dropping next door. Absolute anarchy. The world reacting to Orion's glory, but here Orion fights. He's at 168 HP. VOLKMAR coming in, but he takes down VOLKMAR, and without the support of VOLKMAR the Grim, all of these State Troopers are going to buckle and run, and that is going to be a glorious, glorious victory there for the Wood Elves, as the rest of the State Troopers will not want to be handling this giant demigod any day soon. So well played to Dov, man. That was a super scrappy game. I made some substantial mistakes with those blob fights in the beginning, overestimated my strength, and paid the troll toll. But again, when you're playing with new units, you got to, you know, really test their limits. But yeah, it was super fun, man. Orion definitely hard carried that and was able to really be mobile and cause a lot of damage, and yeah, incredibly solid stuff. So yeah, 5,900. Man, Orion paid for himself like several times over, because the rest of my army sure as hell didn't. The Dryads just kind of got crumped and barely did any damage. The Spears here did okay. Sylvan Knights did pretty good. So despite the fact that they kind of got crumped on, they still did some really good damage and paid for themselves. They cost 2,000 gold. Zotes not so much. My Zote play was quite poor. Deepwood Scouts did okay. You know, not bad. One of them paid for themselves. VOLKMAR the Grim, obviously an MVP. 15,000 damage against Orion's 19,000. So they're pretty much in the same ballpark. Both of our lords really carried us this game. Demogryph Knights did okay, and you can also see the Hellstorms and whatnot didn't do bad at all. Anyway, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. It was a super fun game, man. Really well played. If you guys haven't seen Dov's channel, make sure to check him out. We have a bunch of games coming up that were very close and very fun. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this Wood Elf Showdown, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.